I want to start by drawing our attention to the statement made by the Minister of Works recently. Whoever wants to benefit from the Commonwealth, he said, must contribute to the common purse.
With COVID-19, the challenge has been how do we operate as a service without necessarily endangering the lives of staff and the taxpayers at the same time. So during this lockdown, our operations continued because of our e-services. And surprisingly, we achieved even better than when there was no COVID-19.
Echoes from the interactive session held with Abuja Bureau Chiefs of Media Organizations by the FRS on Monday, the 23rd of November 2020. The story of that event, the echoes and the sparks are the focus of today's episode of Tax Matters. I'm Chamoko Haoji and I welcome you to another blockbuster episode of Tax Matters. Chief host at the interactive session was Executive Chairman FRS. He began by restating the mandate of the FRS.
To assess tax in Nigeria, to collect those taxes, and also account for it to the federal government of this country. Today, businesses are no longer run using brick and mortar model. So for you to be able to collect taxes, you have to deploy technology. And that is what we are doing. We have also decentralized tax audit and investigation functions. We have done taxpayer segmentation by way of identifying which taxpayers are big taxpayers, those that are medium, and the ones that are small taxpayers like myself, which we now segment into micro and small as the first group, medium and large taxpayers as the second and the third group. We have also done a lot of collaboration with stakeholders on policy formulation and implementation. And part of those stakeholder engagement is what we are doing with you today. We are also working closely with Federal Ministry of Finance and National Assembly on amendment to relevant tax laws in order for us to be able to block the leakages in our tax system.
Mr. Nami reiterated the current emphasis of his administration on indirect taxes.
The emphasis of the new team has been on indirect taxes because we know the challenges that the companies are passing through. Indirect taxes are taxes like VAT, stamp duty, that the companies do not pay directly from the income they generate. These are taxes that they help us to collect as agents, but our own challenge now is that when you collect those taxes, you should be in the position to remit them, because those has got nothing to do with your own profit. It has got nothing to do with the income that you generate as an entity.
The Executive Chairman FRS also took time to react to the trending news regarding the slide into recession.
The statistics released by National Bureau of Statistics on just Saturday, the country recorded a contraction of about 3.62% in the third quarter. This is the second consecutive quarterly GDP decline since the recession of 2016. The cumulative GDP for the first 9 months of 2020, therefore, has now or is standing at a negative figure of minus 2.48%. The last time Nigeria recorded such cumulative GDP was in 1987, when GDP declined by 10.8%. So we have a problem in this country, and we want you to help us to talk to Nigerians that the only way to go going forward is this tax revenue, and we cannot afford to leave them in the hand of agents. As they collect them, we want them to remit it to the coffers.
Do you provide goods and services? Then you must answer these important questions. Are you registered for VAT? Do you charge VAT on the goods and services you provide? Do you keep records of all your transactions? Do you file VAT returns? Do you remit VAT collected to government coffers? If your answer to any of these questions is no, then you are breaking the law. The law demands total compliance. Therefore, you must register for VAT. You must charge VAT on goods and services. You must file VAT returns. And you must remit all VAT collected on behalf of government within 21 days to the bank nearest to you. To do otherwise is a crime punishable everywhere in the world. VAT is prescribed by the law. Do the right thing. Collect and pay VAT. This message is from the FIRS. It pays to pay your tax.
Thank you for staying with us. We are bringing you blow-by-blow account of a media interactive session between the management of the FRS and Abuja Bureau Chiefs of Media Organizations. Each of the 6 coordinating groups of the service took turns to update the media men and women on what they do and what they have achieved in recent time.
We are the ones that are in charge of collection. So what have we done so far? As at October, we are on about 98% of the targets given to us by government, and this is about the best in several years percentage-wise. April and May were like total lockdown. We have 762 billion naira collected during those 2 months, as difficult as it was. And we will appreciate this when we look at it in the context of what happened in the immediate previous year, 791. And that's 96% of what we achieved when there was no lockdown, no corona, no repositioning, and all of that.
The group, through the human capital and other stakeholders, organized 2019 and 2020 promotion. And unprecedented in the history of the service, 13 directors were promoted for both 2 years, 5 in 2019 and 8 in 2020. Other staff, almost 5,000 for the 2 years. Every officer that is below senior manager, every officer was promoted. So that has gone in history to be the best so far since the inception of the service. And the staff are encouraged, staff are motivated.
The executive chairman's group is in charge of coordinating the activities of the service. And it may interest you to know that he came with a 4 cardinal points to review the capacity, that's in terms of staff capacity, training and retraining, and then to also lay emphasis on data.
The group has 4 departments, and these departments are the tax investigation department that helps in dealing with cases of tax evasion. We also have the debt management and enforcement department. We have the 3rd department, which is the legal and prosecution department, that provides legal advice and engagement of the service and taxpayers. And the 4th department is the compliance, risk, and the research and risk management department. All issues relating to underreporting, all issues relating to tax fraud, tax evasion are dealt with by the tax investigation department.
Compliance support group, as the name implies, focuses on issues that border on voluntary compliance. All that we do in the group is to ensure that taxpayers are able to carry out the obligation of voluntary compliance. So for this group, we have about 5 departments that we oversee. And one of them is the Taxpayer Services Department. And what they do in this department is to educate the taxpayers and also attend to their inquiries. And there's no limit as to what they can ask. either by email or phone calls or whatever means that they can get across to the service. There's a help desk where they send in their inquiries and they are treated either by the department or subject experts in whatever inquiry that is sent to the service.
When the chairman came in, he gave the marching orders that we should take responsibility of our processes. And as such, we started looking at developing in-house solutions rather than depending on costly solutions developed by external bodies, by consultants, mostly not even in this country. And as such, we championed the development of an in-house end-to-end tax administration solution. And it's interesting to report that the in-house solution, which is called Tax Pro, has been deployed in the, in the area of VAT. Now, our taxpayers can now, from the comfort of their offices, from the comforts of their houses, bedrooms, can now file their VAT returns using the in-house solution developed by our staff. It is not very costly because it is developed in-house. And as at last week, we've started deploying the CIT component of the solution. We are also strengthening the VAT automation process so that taxpayers or anybody that is paying VAT, we can automatically deduct VAT from source. We are now working on developing an in-house website. We've gone far. We've achieved about 70% of developing our. Hitherto, our website was developed by an external body, hosted by an external body. So, but with our team, we are developing our own in-house website using our in-house resources. We've gone far on that.
Thereafter followed a robust question and answer session.
Mr. Chairman, I'm encouraged that in spite of the global economic challenges, you've been able to meet almost about 98% of the targets given to you by the federal government. But that aside, one of your coordinating directors mentioned tax evasion. In other countries, tax evasion is a very serious crime, no matter your status. And I want to find out, in the last 1 year or so, what that department has done in ensuring that those who are involved in bad behavior by way of tax evasions are punished.
In specific terms, I want you to put figures to that 98%. What was your target at the beginning of the year? What have you achieved now?
What's the status of the taxpayer identification number scheme?
So with the present situation that the Nigerian economy is going through with the recession and the poverty rates of the country, how can the FIRS ameliorate the impacts of taxes for small and medium-scale enterprises and for the common Nigerian?
In response, the executive chairman FRSC seized the occasion to clarify reports on purported revenue collection shortfall.
If you look at, is it the Guardian publication today that said we had a shortfall of about 25% in company income tax? Isn't a shortfall, it's just the palliative that we are giving to taxpayers. Those are waivers that we have part with. Ordinarily would have achieved that target.
And on other matters,
tax evasion is actually a very serious crime. And that is why it is a thing that worries us a lot, and that's why we even have a department in the enforcement support group called Special Crime Department. So what I've done is to empower enforcement support group to leverage, one, on technology, second, stakeholder we collaborate with other stakeholders for information sharing. And what we have done, we just concluded one investigation in Lagos, we discovered that there are service providers, let me not be specific, that work for some of our taxpayers, but they collect VAT and they don't remit. But assessment have been raised in billions of naira and sent to them. Like I said, it's an indirect tax regime that we're pursuing in line with the national tax policy. You are only an agent. It has got nothing to do with your income. It has got nothing to do with your the productive you earn in the course of rendering this service. You have 100% of your income, and then 7% that is added on top for you to bring to federal and land revenue. You collect and keep. So what we did is to attach the invoice we saw in such organization and say, please just give us the money, and they know they cannot just come near us. We don't tolerate such things. And it is as a result of that that the figures continue to increase. Otherwise, if you give palliative or penalty interest, for instance, you are giving out about minimum of 21% of the income that you are supposed to generate. And as the chair of Emergent Task Board, I think I should be able to talk to you what Maya is talking about, tax identification number. What we have done is to collaborate with the CBN, NIMC, then the NIMS and other payment gateway. And I think currently at the Joint Task Board, we are looking at a figure of 40 million individuals already in TaxNet. So what we're doing is to see how we now unify the team. Instead of you having a number in the custom, when you are dealing with custom, when you are dealing with FRS, when you are dealing with immigration, when you are dealing with INEC, every agency giving a number. So we're trying to see what we can do as an arm of government to unify those numbers, so that as a person you have only one number that is dedicated to. So we have made a lot of progress on that. On tax, the challenges SMEs are facing, I think even 2 weeks ago we released additional palliatives in such a manner that if you are owing taxes, whether as a result of self-assessment, dex review, audit, or investigation, even if the liability is over 100% of the principal, we have encouraged taxpayers to come forward and pay, so that you don't pay those penalty interest if you're able to do that between now and end of December. And another thing that I think government has done, which no government in the whole of this world has done, to small and medium enterprises, Finance Act 2019, in where companies or entities with turnover of 25 million and below have been exempted from paying company tax, income taxes. They also have been exempted from acting as agent of VAT collection, and they also are not to pay VAT in the course of their VAT returns to us. So many other incentives also have been introduced in this proposed finance bill. I'm not in a position to comment on it because it's a proposal to National Assembly.
The interactive session presented an opportunity for the management to showcase the giant strides being made by the women folk at the FRS. Tax Matters had a special session with the women holding their own at the FRS.
Off camera, we heard you talk about the transformation agenda being undertaken by the service. Would you please want to elaborate on this?
About 2010, we started the modernization journey, which we called the modernization agenda, and then we had a plan, a medium-term plan that was driving everything we were doing under the modernization agenda. Having come through that part, we will, and I think you'll agree with me, so will a lot of other people, even our technical partners, will agree with me that FIRS can be said today to be a modernized tax authority. Now, having modernized, what is the next? So the next is digitization. So that is what even led to changing of the group name from modernization group to digital support group. Being a digital support group means that we are now transforming the service to be a digital-centric organization, because data has to drive most of what we are doing now. So we are on a transformation journey now. We are in in a position, especially if you're looking at digital economy and taxation of the digital economy, we can only but move with the trend. So that's where we are.
So what sectors are this modernization or transformation being carried out on?
It cuts across all facets of our mandate, from assessment to collection and then to accounting. Now, whatever processes that we drive to achieve these three areas of our mandate, we intend to automate. And then automating also means that we have to change the mindset of our people and then the mindset especially of the taxpayers so that we can carry them along on this journey. Now, that changing of mindset and adopting these new practices of way of doing things is introducing changes, not just to the staff of the organization, also to the taxpayer. So we needed to have a department focused now on managing those changes in a structured manner, hence the creation of the change management department. And I'm lucky to be the founding director.
How are you conveying this transformation agenda to the taxpayers?
Okay, basically the Taxpayer Service Department is saddled with the responsibility of educating taxpayer, enlightening taxpayer, provision of information to the taxpayer, and providing taxpayer assistance. We normally have a product which we call Taxpayer Information Guide. So all the transformation that is taking place in the service and other information, we do produce the information guide and disseminate to the taxpayer, either through taxpayer service unit of the various tax offices we have, and maybe during events like trade fairs, workshops, we normally disseminate such information to the taxpayer for them to be able to know what is happening in the service.
So how do taxpayers take up this information, or how do they respond to such information?
The taxpayer do respond to such information because if they have additional information or additional inquiries, we have a help desk and we have a contact center where the taxpayers are expected to either call us through the telephone, send an email to us, or come to the office, either the head office or the taxpayer service unit of all the tax offices across the nation, raise their concern, ask their question for us to be able to provide answers. And based on the questions, we have a data bank of frequently asked questions, because if a question repeats itself, the service enables us to compile those questions and provide answers so that whoever wants to know about it easily, it is documented and is disseminated to the taxpayers.
What is the role of your department in all of these?
So the department is Special Tax Group, which will deal with different sectors, but mine specifically is initiatives, coming up with doing research, finding out how all other tax authorities around the world, what they're doing, what's trending, what services are being offered. Then we bring it down to our country and we decipher, the one that will apply to our own tax laws and our people. We implement the ones that will not apply or are not applicable. We sift them to the side. That's our major work. And once we're able to do that, my job will be to come up with the standards, a framework, put a prototype together, and then it gets sent to the relative departments to implement as need be. So the second thing we also do is to ensure that we're 100% on the ease of doing business global expectation, which is, of course, in our own mandate will be ease of paying taxes, which thankfully Nigeria is in the top 10 most improved countries in the world, which tells us that, we're doing the right thing, and ease of paying taxes is also there. One of our major aspirations, I know the chairman wants, is that we want to remove that cloud of taxpayers being afraid of the tax authority, where we want them to understand that we're their friends, we're here to offer services, and we're here to ensure that they succeed, because their success equals our success. So that's part of what we do, is how do we make it easy for everyone, to dip into their pocket, to pay, to do their civic duties, pay their taxes, and do it while smiling at the same time.
FRS on the move. One thing came out distinctly at the interactive session, and that is that in spite of the dislocation brought about by COVID-19 and the attendant lull in the economy, the FRS performed creditably well.
From January to date, total revenue contributed to FAC by the four agencies stood at 6.1 trillion naira. And out of this 6.1 trillion, 3.8 trillion came from FRS, that is 63% of the money.
FRS to the rescue. We thank you for watching. Let's do this again next week on the same station, same day of the week, same time of the day. Bye for now.